Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Boost Your Productivity and Efficiency with Microsoft Copilot. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come along to learn more about this Copilot. My name is Billy Howarth. I am the Manager of IT Training and Solutions here at ATI-Mirage. So ATI-Mirage, for those who don't know, are based in Perth CBD, with more than 30 years in business and over 220,000 happy customers. We are training specialists in IT, PD, wellness, and a registered training organization. ATI-Mirage acknowledges the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional owners of the lands and waters where Perth City is situated today, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Your participation is important. I encourage you to ask questions in the Q&A provided in the Zoom toolbar. Towards the bottom of the screen, you should see the Q&A. So pop in any direct questions you may have in the Q&A. We will answer all questions. Some questions may be held for discussion towards the end of the webinar, and others will actually be followed up after the event. We also provide to you the chat where you can share your thoughts, your comments, and your feedback. Today's webinar is being recorded. We'll also share with you a link after today's webinar. And please revisit this video and share it with your colleagues. And we'll also share with you a copy of the PowerPoint slides in a PDF format, as well as the Q&A. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Stephen Payne today. Stephen is going to take you through today's topic. Stephen is our AI trainer consultant. And Stephen is an AI enthusiast and has helped many organizations and schools leverage digital technology to increase its efficiency, productivity, and help an organization saving time. Stephen also enjoys enhancing the students' learning with Microsoft 365 apps, as well as using products like Minecraft and robotics. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. And Stephen, over to you.
So thanks very much for the introduction, and thanks to those people who are attending today. This is what we're going to aim to do today. Have a quick look at what generative AI is. We're going to look at the Copilot basic functionalities. And we are going to look at prompts and analyzing results with Copilot. Copilot is kind of the new name for Bing Chat Enterprise. It was rebranded just a week or so ago. So you may see some references to Bing Chat Enterprise or Microsoft Copilot as we go through today. But hopefully I will be able to make it nice and clear and explain exactly what it is that we're looking at, and you'll be able to play along or try out these amazing tools when you get the chance afterwards. So I'm first of all just going to give a little I've put the dictionary definition on the screen there, but really AI is just growing and growing and growing, and there's new branches. Really, it goes way back to Alan Turing and the Turing machine in 1936, and the actual term artificial intelligence was coined by John McCarthy in 1955 or 56, and he was the inventor of the Lisp programming language. There's a few kind of things happened later on. When I was at university, the big buzz was the IBM's Deep Blue. We had a computer beating Garry Kasparov in a chess match in 1997. That made the news then. Then jump forward a few years to 2015, and Facebook had a product called Deep Face, and that was able to recognize to 97 99.5% accuracy people's faces. So if there's anyone on Facebook and you upload photos, it's able to pick up who those people are. So that was just back in 2015, and then jump forward to 2019 when generative AI really came into its own. So this is a new type of artificial intelligence that actually creates new content. It can actually take existing content and prompts, both from the web and from what you type in or what you share, and create new text, new videos, new images. It uses a whole lot of online data and machine learning. So it's kind of brand new way of creating content. So that came out in 2019. OpenAI had a big breakthrough then, and it was 2022, just about a year ago, in November 2022, when ChatGPT came out. So this was a really big breakthrough, and that's why there's been a lot of talk in the news, and it's being used in businesses and schools and universities and governments around the world, because you can do a lot more, a lot quicker now. So that was actually based on ChatGPT 3.5. And then this year, ChatGPT or GPT-4 came out, and that is integrated into Copilot that we're going to look at today. So we're really at the cutting edge with what can be done. And if you tried this, if you tried using ChatGPT or Bing Chat at the start of this year, it's come on in leaps and bounds. We're going from, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something like 150 billion bits of data to last year to now having over 175 trillion. So it's huge. And I've noticed the impact in the work that I'm doing. So what can we actually do when we use Copilot with Bing? So Copilot is a product that's available to everyone who uses Microsoft 365 at no additional cost. So there are some other Copilots that Microsoft have brought out and will be bringing out where there are additional costs. But what we're going to focus on today is what is available to all students in schools, all staff in businesses and government departments that you can access and use straight away. So you can search results from across the web. Bing actually uses the web plus GPT-4. So you kind of get the best of both worlds and you really get great context. You can also summarize responses to the specific questions that you ask. And this is, I find I'm using Copilot more than, say, a Google search now, because I can ask a question and then ask follow-up questions and really drill down into what I need. I can compare things, I can summarize, I can get alternative points of view without having to worry about adverts and misleading information and that sort of thing. I can actually get sort of written in plain English what I want to understand. All of the web sources that it finds are linked to as well, and you can print off the resources. And it can also be creative. So if you want to create a script for a presentation, or you want to come up with some imaginative interview questions, or you want to even create a logo, Copilot can help with that. I was actually sitting with someone last week who sketched out a logo for their new brand on a piece of paper, took a photo, uploaded it to Copilot and said, put that on a t-shirt, and then actually manipulated it until they got exactly what they wanted. So really, really clever tools that are built on all of this history of artificial intelligence. It's great to ask follow-up questions in Bing or Copilot. This is something I do a lot. I don't just ask a question and accept it. Perhaps it hasn't quite understood, or perhaps it's prompted something else that you want to ask about. So I just ask it perhaps to explain in simpler terms. So you can ask it to avoid the jargon or explain this so a 10-year-old would understand, and it will just refine those answers. Sometimes it's good to have things in a table. My background is mathematics, and I love to see data organized and structured. So being able to sort things, and it will even give you Excel documents that you can download and reuse as well. Creating a quiz can be quite useful. So I want to check that I've totally understood a video or a report or a website so I can create questions. And also just saying, give me more options. And Copilot does that anyway. When you ask a question, it gives you suggested questions that you can ask to follow up as well. Now, if we use Copilot with our organizational email account, our Microsoft 365 account, we get some extra benefits. The searches are not linked, so no one will know who's searching for what. Nothing is saved. Importantly, what you type in is not used to train any of Microsoft's or OpenAI's models. That's one of the problems that you sometimes get with the free products or other products. Everything you type into ChatGPT, for example, can be used to train the language model itself. But with Copilot, you don't have that if you're logged in with Microsoft 365. And there are no eyes on your data at any time. So you get those really good benefits there. So we're going to go and look at Copilot now. And there are a few different ways. As I say, we're transitioning from the name Bing Chat to Copilot. So you can access it at bing.com/chat in a browser. You can access it at copilot.microsoft.com. There's also a sidebar. If you're using the Microsoft Edge browser, you also get a sidebar where you've got some great features as well. At the moment, the mobile devices are only available for personal accounts. So you can't use Bing if you're using a mobile phone. You can use Copilot, but you have to use your personal account like a Hotmail or personal Outlook. To use your business account, you need to be on a computer on the web. Okay, so that's how you access it. Another thing that I really like are there are 3 conversational styles. So you can use creative. So this is where you would definitely use this if you were creating something new. So if you were writing a poem, for example, or you were creating an image, or you were creating a story, you'd use creative. Balanced is kind of a nice way to start. I normally start with balanced and flick one way or the other. So this is just kind of quite conversational. I might use it if I'm looking for a new laptop and I'm asking it what specs I need. It's kind of giving me all sorts of different ideas. And then precise is if you know you want specific answers. So if you're asking for the population of a certain suburb, or you're asking for the cost of something, or you're asking it to do a calculation, you'll probably use precise. But I generally start with balanced and move one way or the other. You get used to it as you start using it. So what I'm going to do now is just go straight into Copilot and go through a few little demos, just so you can see a little bit of what Copilot can do. So what I've done here is I've just logged into my Microsoft 365 account. And this is actually bing.com/chat. So this is how Bing Chat Enterprise has looked for the last couple of months. And you'll see that I'm protected. So you'll know that you're logged in with your business account. There'll be a big green shield to show you're protected and it's secure. Sometimes you might be logged into a browser with both your work email and a personal email. Make sure that you're protected before you start asking any questions pertaining to your work. So there's Bing Chat, bing.com, where you can access chat. There's the conversation styles, and there's also copilot.microsoft.com. So it's kind of a more all-in-one page here. And this is what I'm going to be using today. So I'm going to close down Bing Chat, and I'm going to stick in copilot.microsoft.com. I'm protected, which is great. And it just comes up with some suggestions. So you can write a successful sales pitch, compare marketing strategies, create a SWOT analysis, look at some code, even a good joke. So what's a good joke to break the ice? I won't ask it now. How do I set achievable goals at work? So these are just kind of some questions that you can ask. So you'll notice down here that I can just type something in, or I can also use my microphone, so I can have a conversation with Copilot. But I'm just going to look at something. I was literally, this is something I did just last week. I was looking for a new laptop and I wasn't sure whether I wanted a Surface Pro or a Surface laptop. So I've just typed in summarize the key differences between Surface Pro and Surface laptop. Please avoid technical jargon. So it will go off, it will look on the web. It will also look at any data that it's learned from, and it's given me the key differences there being form factor, performance, and well, it's given me lots of detail there, and battery life. There we go, some important things to consider. Now, I might also be considering another brand. I may be looking at a MacBook Air or a Pixelbook. So I now want to put this information into a table. Can you put that in a table, Let's make sure my text is correct. Can you put that in a table and include a MacBook Air and Google Pixelbook? So it remembers, as long as you haven't clicked the refresh button, it remembers previous conversations. So now it's taken that information that I've asked for, and it's now added in a MacBook Air and a Google Pixelbook. So it's no longer just going to the Microsoft webpage. It's now looking at a whole range of different websites, and then I can edit that in Excel as well. So I can actually export that to Excel and use that. So that's pretty cool. Now, one thing that is slight annoyance with Copilot is because it is so protected and so secure, nothing is saved when you leave the page. So if you do want to keep this, you either have to download that Excel book or copy that text into a Word document, one notebook, or however you store information. Because as soon as I close this browser down, all that information disappears. If you were using the personal version of Copilot, all of that stuff would be saved. Another thing that I like to do is, that's all I was doing about laptops. I now want to talk about a totally different topic. So I normally click new topic. That way it doesn't get confused. I'm now going to start talking about conflicts of interest policy. And I don't want Copilot to think I want that tied in with laptops. So I'm going to start a brand new topic. And I'm going to say, can you find the latest WA Health Department conflict of interest policy and summarize the main points? And what I found is I quite often do this when I know there's new reports. I can ask for the 5 most recent policies or whatever it might be, but it's gone and found this report. It's put a link to where it's got that from, and then it's just summarizing what that report is about. And then I can go and interrogate that further. So that's what I find really useful. It's now put links to both Health WA and WA Country Health. And I could ask for follow-up questions, and it even suggests follow-up questions. So what's the penalty for not declaring a conflict of interest? How does this policy affect patients, and who monitors compliance with this policy? So if I want to follow up with one of those questions, I can just click on that button and it will give me a response here. So a really simple way of accessing information. Okay, I hope that helps. Yes, it does. If something is useful, give it a like, and then you can say what you like. It gives that information to Microsoft. That can be particularly useful if you get something that is totally not correct and you want to flag that up. Sometimes you do get some strange responses. Now, this time, I want to be creative. I'm interviewing. Oh, look, nice. This will be fun. What's on your mind? So I'm actually interviewing people for a new role. And so my question is, I'm interviewing prospective senior project managers for a telco company. Please, can you suggest a few questions that allow them to show their creativity and problem-solving skills relevant to this industry? So I could obviously come up with a few myself, but sometimes because Copilot has access to kind of the whole world out there, it will be able to mash up different questions, and I might be able to pick up something that I hadn't thought of before. So what have we got here? How would you design and implement a strategy to migrate from legacy networks? Cool. How would you leverage big data and AI to improve customer experience? Oh, and what are some of the ethical security issues? So it's come up with some great questions there that obviously I don't need to take those and use them, but it's a great starting point. I could even drill down and say, can you ask a lateral thinking problem or something like that as well? So perhaps I want to know how to evaluate a candidate's response, or maybe I want to create a rubric where I can tick off how well I think staff have done in the responses. So really simple, simple way to get information if you want to create something new. So those questions probably have not been written in that specific way before. As this is generative AI, it's coming up with new questions and new responses every time it's creating new content. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how you can also create content for presentations and things like that, but also include images. So I'm going to create a presentation about renewable energy. Can you gather recent statistics from Australia and compelling facts on solar power, let's say globally? Actually, I'm actually going to say thanks, because you never know. One day, Copilot might be my boss, so I want him to remember, or her to remember, that I was polite. There we go. So I'm working on a presentation about renewable energy. Can you help gather recent statistics from Australia and compelling facts on solar power globally? Now, the interesting thing is I did this a couple of days ago and I got totally different responses. And because it has access to so much data, you're never going to get the same response twice, particularly when you're on creative mode. If you're on precise and you ask, what's the tallest bird in Australia, you probably are going to get the same response. But if you're asking it to create some ideas for a presentation or show some compelling facts, it's always going to be different. So that's something to bear in mind. There we go. So I've got some information about Australia, and then I've got some information coming from right across the world. Now that's great. I could use that. I could bring that over into a PowerPoint presentation that I'm presenting to customers or whatever it might be. But I want to create some interesting images to go with that. So one of the things you can do on creative mode is actually create brand new images. So I'm going to click here. Can you create an image for my presentation about Perth and renewable energy? Include the Perth skyline and a solar panel. So we'll see how this does. It should be able to work out what the Perth skyline looks like and somehow incorporate a solar panel. So it generates this. It actually uses a tool called DALL-E, which is managed by OpenAI, but it's integrated into the chat. So here I am asking it to create a specific thing. I haven't given it, oh, that's pretty cool. I haven't given it much information apart from a Perth skyline and a solar panel. So that might be a nice eye-catching image to have on the front of my presentation, which is pretty cool. Or maybe I want, maybe I say, great, please make that a pencil drawing. So maybe I just want to change it slightly. So it will be able to pick up on that information as well. Or maybe you've got the sun setting in the wrong on the wrong side of the picture. You can change those sorts of things. You can even add in text and logos and those sorts of things. So I just find it's so fun. I've used it when I've created posters, maybe a training poster or a poster to promote safe use of the internet. You can create little cartoon characters and just refine them. Oh, so there we go. We've got a few different images there, and that's just slightly changing the prompt. Obviously, it's not perfect, but much better than I could do by myself with a pencil and a bit of paper. So that's a really great way of being able to create new images. Definitely have a go at that. Create logos, create photos, create different scenarios. Perhaps you're creating a product, you want to sell it in different markets. You can do all of that just within Copilot. The other thing you can do is actually upload images. So I mentioned earlier that someone had sketched a logo, then uploaded it, and and refined it and that sort of thing. So you can actually paste in an image link somewhere on the website, or you can take a photo. So I think I did this earlier today. There we go. I found a picture of a truck and I wanted to know what model it was. We'll see whether we can get anywhere with this. If anyone knows about trucks, please let us know in the chat how well Copilot did. What model of truck is this? Okay. So it does say faces may be blurred to protect privacy. So if you do upload I think you have to zoom in quite far to see this person's face. But if you do upload a picture and maybe it's got a building with someone in front of it, it will actually blur that. That's pretty cool. It says Hallback 50B. It was used for mining and quarry operations in the 60s and 70s. Well, maybe it was a later model. We might need to go and do a bit more research. I'm not going to trust that straight off the bat, but it's picked up the make, so we can go and explore that further. And so that's pretty useful. And the other thing that I find it quite useful for is I use Excel quite a lot in my work. I'm not great at formulas, and it takes ages to kind of remind myself. Like I've been on Excel courses, but I never know exactly what I need to do. So this is where, let me put that over there. Let's see if we can look at both at the same time. There we go. So what I want to do now is I'm taking calls at different branches, and I just want to find out how many calls there were in total at, let's say, CBD. So I can't remember the quick way of adding together all these numbers, and I'm not going to sit there and type it in. I could on this because it's a small example, but just to kind of give you an example here, I'll go to balanced. Let's find answers and have a little chat too. So I've said, please write an Excel formula to add the total calls for the CBD branch. The branch is in column B, and the total calls is in column C. Obviously, at this stage, Bing can't see or Copilot can't see my Excel, so I've had to spell it out in quite some detail. So it's found a formula for me, but what it's also done is it's telling me how that works as well. So let's see, I can copy that. I can paste it in here. And it gives me the answer, 910. So let me just see if I turn that up by 5. That's turned up by 5. Excellent. So it's given me a formula that works. I'd forgotten it was SUMIF. And maybe now I want to, maybe I now want to write the branch name in here, and then it to automatically update for me. So I'm just going to follow up. Can we write a similar formula that picks up the branch from cell E4? So hopefully now it's going to give me a formula, and it's actually telling me how that formula works as well, which is really useful. Okay, let me copy that. So if I put that in there, I've got nothing there. So let's say that equals Fremantle. So now it's picked up and it's added the sum for Fremantle. And let's put in Joondalup. And now it's added Joondalup. So that's quite good. If you need help with, obviously that's quite a basic example for Excel, but you can definitely ask it more complicated things. And if it doesn't get it right, you can just give it more information and keep refining until you get the answer you want. So I think that's quite a useful way of using this. There is a tool coming to Microsoft 365 that's an add-on that's going to be built into Excel and OneNote and Teams and all these other ones. And that's a paid version. What we're looking at today is just the kind of the free chat version, but it's still quite powerful, I think, from what we're looking at today. Okay. So I'm just going to look at a couple of questions there. Will Copilot be available as a standalone app on the Mac or Microsoft 365? I don't know the answer to that. It is available as a standalone app on Windows at the moment, but I'm not sure about Mac, best thing to do is go to copilot.microsoft.com and ask Copilot. There may be a plan that I'm not aware of at the moment. And then there's another question here that says, am I right in assuming this is the same as ChatGPT 4.5 paid version? But Microsoft gives more anonymity. That's the word, anonymity to users. Yes, this is pretty much the same as ChatGPT paid version, but it by default includes web searches, and it gives you the anonymity and security and privacy, so you can kind of look at personal and private documents and that sort of thing. Does it or will it use voice recognition? You might need to refine that. At the moment, you can use a microphone, but maybe you've got specific questions about navigating and so on. But at the moment, you can use a microphone to ask your questions, and you can use the basic navigation that's included in Windows. Excellent. I noticed there's also some questions in the chat. So what we'll do is I'll show you the last couple of things, and then we'll go to the questions in the chat as well as the Q&A section. Excellent. So the last thing I wanted to show you here was the sidebar. So this is actually available if you're using Edge. So I've just gone onto a random website. Oh, it's the ATI. It's one of the ATI-Mirage courses. Here we go. So if I click the Copilot button there, straight away, it gives you a summary of the website that you're on. If it doesn't, you can just click Show me the summary. So we get some information there, and you can ask questions about this course or this page. So I've got quite a simple it's quite a simple web page with a lot of information, but I might just say, what are the 3 main outcomes from studying this course? So you basically have chats where you can interact with the websites that you're looking at. It doesn't know which course. So I need to say, answer from this page instead. Sometimes it gets confused because you can use this to talk about the page you're on or another page. So sometimes you'll get, there we go. It's picked up the right course now. Fantastic. So it's going to give me the 3 main outcomes from studying this course. The other thing you can do is compose. So this can be really useful as well. If you're writing reports or you're writing emails, click to compose. And you can see here, you type in what you want to write about. You can choose the tone. You can even add your own types of tone. And then there's different things you can compose: a paragraph, an email, bullet points, a LinkedIn post, a summary, and so on. So I'm just going to, let's just bring up another course. I want to do this leadership course with my colleagues. So I'm going to just say, write to, I'm just going to copy that in case it, so it loves, you can just put in a URL and say, write an email to my boss, Sarah, about why me and Jeff should do this course. So I can choose to write it professional, let's say enthusiastic. I really want to do this course, and I'm going to send an email. So it will pick up that URL, and it will write an enthusiastic email. I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to express my interest in attending this course by ATI-Mirage. Me and Jeff are both aspiring to take on more leadership roles. These are the topics it covers. The courses are scheduled for January. The cost, the value is a reasonable investment, a great opportunity. Thank you for your time and attention. Sincerely, your name. You might want to obviously copy that into your email. You might want to change it to your own kind of the way that you write, but it gives you a nice overview. I also use this sometimes if someone's written me an email and I'm not quite sure whether they're confused or disappointed. I can just go in here and change that. So I might just say, let's just write a succinct email. Sorry, I am late. My alarm clock changed time zones by mistake. So I'm writing a letter to someone, I'm late for a meeting. Let's keep it short and succinct, and it will write it in a much better way than I can. There we go. I apologize. There was a glitch with my alarm clock. It switched to a different time zone. I hope you understand and forgive me. Great. If it's people I'm really familiar with, maybe it'll create something funnier. My alarm clock decided to take a vacation in another time zone without telling me. So it just kind of, you've got different ways that you can respond there. Another thing I wanted to show you was is how you can interact with existing documents. So if I open up a PDF, so I've got this document called, let's go to the top. Oh, it's 48 pages and it's called Guidance for Generative AI in Education and Research. Now, I don't want to read all those 48 pages, but I'm really interested in finding out how generative AI affects bias in education and research. So I'm going to search for the word bias, and there's still 25 mentions of bias. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Copilot, and I'm going to refresh it. And I'm actually going to say here, can you list the 3 main concerns about bias in this PDF in dot point form? So without me having to read this whole PDF, this isn't on the internet. This is one that someone has emailed to me. So what's really nice here, because we open up PDFs in the Edge browser, it's able to actually read the whole document and summarize it without having access to that information before. So at the moment, you can do that with PDF documents, and you can do that with screenshots using the images, but it does get a little bit confused when you've got Word documents or Excel documents open. But I think that's a really great, great tool that you can use there. So opening up your existing PDFs and getting responses. So actually, I think that is I think I've covered most of the points there. We've looked at the sidebar. We've looked at the chat, the different modes of chat. So what I'm going to do now is say, thank you for your time. I'm going to look at the questions, and then we'll do a wrap up. So how do we set up the Copilot extension on Edge? A great question there from an anonymous attendee. It comes automatically if you've got the latest version of Edge. So that's something that you'll probably, if it's a work computer, you'll need to check with your IT team. If it's your personal computer, you just need to update Edge. And that works on both Macs and PCs. Excellent. I'm just going to have a quick look at the webinar chat as well. Can you upload PDFs and documents and summarize? I think I've just shown that one, so that's great. I tried the Copilot Chrome on Chrome on Mac, and it didn't work. Sent me in a useless loop for signing in. Yeah, so it needs to work on. It needs to be Edge on a Mac. So if you install the Edge browser, you'll have access to all of this great stuff and the sidebar as well. So if that's a work computer, you'll need to get some help with IT. But if you install Edge on any browser, you are good to go. Another great question here. What are the differences between the free and paid versions of Copilot? Okay, so with the Copilot that I've been showing you today, the main difference is your personal and company data are protected when you log in with your work. With regards to paid versions of Copilot, if you purchase Microsoft 365 Copilot, there's a lot more integration. So you're able to actually open up Teams meetings and emails, and it can actually go through all of your Office 365 apps and compare and bring in Excel data and emails into reports, and it's a lot more sophisticated. As we look at today, apart from being able to summarize PDFs, most of the work that you can do is creating new content rather than working with existing content. Hopefully that's of use. One other question here. What are some of the risks you anticipate with staff using Copilot at work? What are your thoughts on the best ways to help guide staff to use it productively while avoiding these risks? Excellent question there. So it's talking about risks that you might have in a work environment. So one thing is, if you are using Copilot, make sure you're logged in with your work email address, and then you don't need to worry about anything leaking out of the organization. With regard to risks, this is creating new information. So sometimes there'll be information created that is incorrect or out of date. So when you are encouraging other members of staff to use this, always stress the fact that it's not infallible. It might look great and it might sound confident, it often does, but sometimes it's wrong. So to always double check your responses. Another thing, and I've actually seen this, I've had someone send me an email and at the bottom it said, created by ChatGPT. So, you know, always don't just take something from Copilot and pass it off as yourself. Check it, rephrase it, and personalize it. But as you've seen there, definitely a time saver. It's just the main thing is just checking for accuracy and being aware of the limitations. And I think that is it from me. Back to Billy to finish off.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you so much for that, Stephen. It's very informative, and really it's going to make a big impact on how we do our work, and more, you know, Microsoft Copilot is certainly going to impact our Microsoft 365 environment, without a doubt. So, see my screen okay, Steve?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to check based on, you know, any opportunities to learn more about the Microsoft 365 in terms of Microsoft Copilot. We've got Microsoft Copilot with Bing, half-day course in the new year. If you are interested in that, if you want to learn more, Stephen is going to be delivering that in the new year. And if you're looking at a general overview of Microsoft 365 and the apps in that sort of, whether that be SharePoint or OneDrive, you know, you can consider the Microsoft 365 The Essentials course. So please check that out on our website in terms of the course objectives. And also Power Automate can help streamline the business workflows. Again, Copilot will start to impact these products as well when that license is purchased by organizations. You'll be able to sort of use some of these apps as well, Microsoft Power Automate, to you know, using the chat GPT as well. But we do a one-day course on that. If you are interested on a particular course in Power Automate, it doesn't have the chat GPT, not yet, but Microsoft Power Automate is the Essentials course we do offer as well. So please check out on our website. There is a 20% discount of the recommended retail price if you are interested in these courses. And you've got to book by close of business on Friday, the 15th of December, and no further discount is going to apply. To book, please email hello@atimirage.com.au. You can only make those bookings via this email, and you can't make those bookings on the website to get the discount. So use the discount code ATI-Web20. Thank you so much for your time today. The webinar is now concluding, and the chat is open there for a few more minutes. If you've got any final questions you'd like to ask Stephen, now's the time to pop that in the chat. Once you got his attention there, that would be great. And thank you all so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. It'll be in the new year. So thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.